Welcome back to the Donkey Kong Country playthrough. Hey Tom, what would you say if you mixed Captain Planet and Donkey Kong?
I don't know, Maxie. What would happen?
Well, obviously the fifth element would be replaced with banana, but you pretty much get World 5.
Pretty much. It's kind of like industrial thing zone. Sorry, I was trying to go for alliteration there and nothing was coming to my mind.
Don't worry, even the game itself, it's kind of weird that, yes, there are a lot of levels that have alliterations, namely all the last levels of the last world, but they don't start with it. The first level is Jungle Hijinks, and then as you go on, you get the alliterations, which I think is kind of weird.
Yeah. Now, K.Rool, the leader of the Kremling crew, and is an invading force. He's a pirate, basically, a pirate king. So did he set up these factories? Because I'm pretty sure a very naturalistic kind of tribe like the Kongs would not have access to this kind of technology.
Oh, it's definitely the Kremlings that created these. I don't know what they're actually manufacturing. You could say that they're manufacturing the barrels? But for what purpose? Because they're actually more helpful to the Kongs than to the Kremlings themselves. That's actually their weakness. But yeah, the Kongs definitely know, and you can tell that it's not a ham-fisted environmentalist message, but it is definitely saying and showing that the jungle settings, they're the more peaceful, they're closer related to the Kongs, and as you go further and further into the grass of the Kremlings, then you get to these more industrial, and we're gonna get to a super polluted level. So not only are the Kremlings bad to the Kongs by stealing their bananas, they're bad to the entire Donkey Kong country.
Yeah. Not too dissimilar to the progression of Sonic 1, actually, wherein you start out in Green Hill Zone, and the levels get more and more industrial as you go on.
Yeah, and you could say that this level is pretty similar to, Scrap Brain.
Mm-hmm.
They got similar gimmicks. Also, a lot of foreground. A lot of foreground on these levels, which I guess it's one way to artificially increase difficulty. The hitboxes on fire barrels are also not what they appear to be.
Yeah, they're pretty fucked, honestly.
Yoshi jump!
Rampy, why?
Yeah, you thought Mario was a dick. Well, the Kongs they can be just as bad to their fellow animal brethren.
Animal buddies my arse, and Rambi is another country mainstay. He's in, I think... Actually, no, I was going to say all three games. In the third game, he's replaced by an elephant who is scared of mice or rats.
At least they brought him back in 64. And as we leave the jungle settings, because Orangutan Clan was the last, really cool jungle set levels, we're going to start to get more of these cave abyss levels, which is definitely the way that they increase the difficulty. You notice that in World 1 and even World 2, there's not a lot of bottomless pits. If there are, it's just the pit. That's the obstacle, is the pit itself. But as you get further into the game, they just take the floor out from underneath you completely. And now you gotta actually control your movement. You can't just roll around willy-nilly.
Controlling my movement in a platform, what do these idiots expect of me?
They expect a lot, okay?
Yeah.
This is rare, and they know what the fuck they're doing.
To be this good, it takes ages.
It does. It also takes knowing their hardware. That was one reason that Miyamoto, really trust Rare, was that those guys could take apart an NES, the Stamper Brothers. They could take apart an NES and put it back together. They knew their hardware inside and out. David Weiss, who was their musician, but he also, worked on the games themselves, he talked about how one of the first things they gave him was an NES, and then a Japanese manual full of notes, and it was learn this system. Which, I think it's awesome. It's kind of like how I enjoy games on a level of knowing the mechanical level.
Yeah.
It's sort of like they have that in-depth knowledge, but of the hardware. I couldn't get that far, but I respect that commitment.
I tell you guys, once you start doing Let's Plays, I wouldn't really recommend it, because, Jesus Christ, and all that, but, once you start to, criticize and analyze, your favorite things, you will start to appreciate them a lot more. Even the bad parts of, your beloved franchises, and, as a Sonic fan, you should really take what I'm saying to heart here, because there's a lot of bad in that series, but, it made me love Sonic all the more when I started doing Let's Plays and whatnot, because I had to, nitpick, and sometimes this can be a good thing, because, appreciation, and all that, but, it's a good thing.
that clamp that was in that bonus stage, that is a foreshadow to essentially the last world.
Mhm.
If you need to learn how to deal with an enemy like that has an awkward jump. I do also like how the way to deal with a lot of these enemies is to just stand conveniently on a specific side of the platform, and they'll deal with themselves. Whatever.
I love how the non-playable character models sometimes can just float through the air.
Yeah, they only have, like, a coordinate given to them. The same thing also happens when you get launched from certain barrels. The main Kong you're playing will sometimes be the one rolling, like what they're supposed to be, and the other Kong will just be in the fetal position, and just hovering and following you, and it's hilarious.
Well, I'm just now noticing the detail on the moving platform itself, like the cogs are whirring and the like. I never noticed that before.
And once again, nothing's hand-drawn in this game. They had to create a 3D model of that, and then render it, put it into their game. A lot of work, and all in 16 months.
Damn.
That was the development cycle for this game. It was so quick, and that's from the ground up. Like, they even had to redesign their main character. Yeah, Donkey Kong was already an established Nintendo character, but, I mean, the Stampers, they picked Donkey Kong. Nintendo didn't just throw Donkey Kong at them and say, here, make a game out of this. They were told that, alright, when Nintendo acquired 49% of their assets, thus allowing Rare to still be their own entity, but given Rare essentially control and making them a second party developer, that was when the Stampers were like, yo, we have access to all the IPs, and they picked Donkey Kong and they wanted to like update him.
The Pokemon Company, I think, operates on a similar wavelength in like they don't fully... Let me restart this with proper grammar. They're not fully owned by Nintendo.
Yeah. And with this level, if you saw that rope at the beginning of the level, that's a bonus stage.
Ugh.
I missed it. I was distracted and also recording this at like 3 a.m. So there is a bonus stage right there. Yes, I missed it. I am very sorry.
I'll never forgive you for this, Maxie. How dare you?
Hey, to be fair, the previous level can be completely skipped, but in doing so I would have made this part only be like 9 minutes, which is too short, so instead I decided, you know what, I'll do the level, get all the bonus stages, then show off how it skips so that you know that I know, and in doing so, I ended up creating the longest part of the playthrough, so it's like a superhero movie. I ended up inadvertently creating my own archenemy.
I'd like to point out, I'm not being serious when I say I'll hold it against Mexi. I may not attempt it, but I'm not that bad.
Yeah, but I managed to keep this playthrough well-paced, but that's a credit to the level design. This is one way that they increase the difficulty in this game that is silly, is just, how do we make our 1-minute levels harder? I know, make them 3 minutes. And this level does have a lot of misdirection. This is when the bonus stages, rather than, just sticking to the high road or doing difficult things, is just do shit that goes completely against your logic as a gamer. This is what I mean by the environmental message. It's not overt. They're not really making a statement, because they're not even saying that these levels are bad, but they are showing the effects of industry on nature. Which is clear with Poison Pond. I mean, if the Donkey Kongs were able to breathe in all the other levels because the water was crystal clear, what's their excuse here?
They do a lot with like poisonous atmospheres and the like in the later games. One of my favourites is in the third game, where it's sort of atmosphere related. It's basically where gravity is like super increased and you jump at a slower pace, but you can jump higher because of it.
Yeah, they really did go all out. There's nothing like that. Your physics are pretty dead set in this game, and that's honestly, to me, one of its strongest suits, is that the platformer mechanics, your jump length, jump trajectory, are all so well programmed and essentially set in stone, and that just makes everything so much better about it. I did get 3 ostriches, but I already showed that off, so I just skipped it.
I was gonna say, I was like, is that a warp? I'm sure there should have been a bonus room here.
No, I skipped it because I already showed it to you guys, and the world's already long because I did that extra world. And what's really weird is that in the last level, I kind of suicided out of a bonus stage because there was an ostrich in there, and I knew that ostrich, and I was like, I don't want to do the bonus stage, so I'm gonna skip it. And then I completely forgot about the one that's right smack in the middle of the level, so it's like, well, looks like I gotta do this bonus stage, and I'll just edit it out.
Very good, very good.
I don't go to that cranky. I haven't gone to any Kongs that are out of the main path. Because, especially after the first 2-3 worlds, and I was just getting the exact same lines. It's like, you know what? Forget it. Done.
Wow, we're finally getting to a full minecart level. How crazy is this?
Yeah, sorry guys. Sorry I robbed you of that first one, the memorable one. But that's another thing too. The tropes that are really attributed to Donkey Kong Country, you know, minecart levels, the swimming levels, there's not a lot of them. You have 2 minecart levels and 4 water levels. There's not a lot. But then in like Donkey Kong Country 2, those are like all you get.
Yeah.
So that's what I think happened was that what a lot of people believe was established in Donkey Kong Country wasn't really there. I mean, the ideas were set there, but when people say, oh, the Donkey Kong Country is known for this, they do mean the series, not this particular game, because there's not a lot of that going on here.
The trilogy as a whole is like some of the best games I've ever played, but they're very much their own distinct entities. Like, 1 is different from 2, 2 is different from 3, 3 is very different to the others, but that's a good thing, because I think, like John Tron said, it's better if they all feel like their own separate game rather than one big game.
Yeah, and there's no continuity. If you want to play 2 first, do it. All you need to know is that there is Donkey Kong. Like, probably the biggest confusion would be, if this game is called Donkey Kong, why aren't I playing as Donkey Kong? But other than that, everything else is just fine. And everything flows very smoothly.
Am I going crazy, or did they bring back this particular music piece for Donkey Kong Country Returns?
They may have. I know with Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, they brought David Weiss himself back to do a lot of the tracks, and some of them are good. They're different, and therefore people on the internet take that as they are the worst and terrible things ever in the history of forever and have ruined their childhood.
I gotta say though, I'm gonna ignore like the negative parts of that soundtrack, but he did a remix of the Lockjaw's Locker theme from the second game, and made it Metroid Prime-ish, which was fantastic.
Mm-hmm. And there's another thing too, the industry levels, it just bookends World 5. You have 1 at the beginning, 1 at the end, no more.
How cool is the Fear Factory theme, by the way?
It's a really good, I like that it's super techno-y, because all the previous songs have had, you know, drums, they're very, like, they're organically musical, like you're using instruments, but then you have this that is, it's synthy, chiptune-y, and it goes, once again, with, I honestly think World 5 is trying to send a message here, and it definitely fits with the world's message.
Yeah, I'm hearing the synth hit. You get a bit of a xylophone solo back there, though.
Definitely. And yeah, the flashing lights, they don't go away in the bonus stage, so you gotta deal with it. You kind of see me go a little back and forth here, but...
I feel sorry for Donkey. He just has no control over this.
No, like I told you, this is Diddy Kong's country. Once Donkey Kong gets better at being a platformer character, then I will play as him. And here's a technique that can be done earlier, but I didn't show off, is barrel rolling. Can only be done with the iron barrels, and it's sick as hell.
Yeah, you gotta get used to doing this in the third game to get some of the DK coins. Like
I told you, Donkey Kong Country does a lot of things, but it doesn't do a lot of them a lot. You do stuff at most, like maybe 3-4 times. And then it was once you get to 2 and 3 that's like an entire world built around the water levels, the barrel rolling, and it's kind of weird. You sort of do see the diversity in what you're doing as you progress through the trilogy.
It's like in Super Mario 3D World, where you can bounce like off enemies by hitting jump just as you land on them to get a bit of extra high. You're not expected to do that until like the bonus worlds.
This boss, it's a barrel.
What the...
It's a barrel.
Like, I'm cool with the trope of giant versions of regular enemies, but this one, are we to believe he's the guy who polluted the region and set up all the factories?
Certainly. I mean, you just can't tell because he doesn't have his glasses on, but it really humanizes him once he, actually gets dressed up in not battle uniform.
It's a fucking barrel, mate. Jesus.
And another fight that Donkey Kong has an advantage because there are certain enemies that only he can jump on. And the trick here is you want to jump on the first enemy when it hits the ground. That will allow you to bounce on the second one and kill it in the air.
And the silly fool blew himself up.
Yeah, you don't even touch him. You kill the enemies, kill the boss.
Okay guys, we'll see you next time for the finale of Donkey Kong Country. See you then.
Feliz Navidad, everyone.